Alrighty, now let's go over to our NFL draft prospect. We're ranking them over these next 2 days. We're starting with the offense today, doing the defense tomorrow. We're only doing the quarterbacks, running backs, and the wide receivers. For tight ends, it's just Kyle Pitts. I mean, that's the only great tight end. Everybody else is just kind of all right, solid. Linemen, we didn't go too deep into the linemen. Kind of focused more on the skills player when we were doing our NFL draft prospects of the day for the last 70 days out here. So we're just going to do quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers today. Tomorrow we'll do corners, safeties, and linebackers, and edge rushers. I believe we've done enough edge rushers to kind of rank them. So we got that today and tomorrow. Then Wednesday we will be doing our mock draft, leading up to Thursday where we'll do the show, and then we also have our live draft show later in the night, starting at 7:30 Eastern. Thursday draft night, first round of the draft. So we will be live there, twitch.tv/takesbyfans. So come join us with other fans, all hoping for the same thing, that our teams get better, picking the right pick that we think is the right pick. So. But before we do our mock draft, which is coming up on Wednesday, we have to kind of rank. We've got to order these prospects, so it's making it a little bit easier for our mock draft to kind of who's going to be firstly selected in each category. So we're starting today with the offense, and we're going to start with the quarterback. So here we go. The 5 quarterbacks that we are ranking are Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Mack Jones, Zack Wilson, and Justin Fields. That's the 5 quarterbacks that we are ranking right now. So here we go. Should we start at number 5 or start with number 1? Let's start with number 1. Alrighty. Here we go. The top quarterback in this year's draft class is Trevor Lawrence. Of course. Guys, does anybody not think he's the best quarterback in this year's draft? I mean, he's definitely the number 1 overall pick. We all know he's getting drafted by the Jaguars. That's no question. It's just, is he going to pan out as the number 1 quarterback? That's the only thing left to decide in this year's draft class. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick taken, but is he truly 10 years from now the best quarterback in this year's draft class? But so we can start here with Trevor Lawrence. Absolutely great. I mean, he's 6'6", folks. Every other quarterback in this draft is 6'3", so you're getting the great height here. We just saw Justin Herbert. Isn't he like 6'5", and instantly just started to sling it around with that Chargers team? No problem. So Trevor Lawrence, he's been, at Clemson for 3 years, absolutely great every single year, won the national championship his first year. Unfortunately, kind of got a little worse in that kind of, never back to the national championship, or never winning the national championship game again, unfortunately. But always getting into the college football playoffs, being competitive. Classic, great production here, 65% completion percentage his first 2 seasons, 69% completion percentage his last season 2020, getting 3,000 yards every single season, so consistent. And the one thing I love about him, he doesn't throw that many picks. I mean, year 1, 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, fantastic. 2019, 36 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I mean, we're talking 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. That's absolutely fantastic. And then just in 2020, 24 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Once again, great touchdown to interception ratio. And he's a decent dual threat. I mean, we saw in 2019, he rushed for 500 yards. Fantastic. 9 touchdowns along with those yards, those 500 yards. So he can be a little bit of a decent dual threat quarterback. He's got the size. He's got the arm. We loved everything about it. His only losses, or no, that's our next quarterback that we're talking about. But yeah, he rushed for the 3,000 yards pass, or he rushed for 500. He threw for 3,000 yards every single season. Great touchdown to interception ratios. Doesn't really turn the ball over that much. Only 17 interceptions over 3 seasons. Never double-digit interceptions, which is always great. I mean, you really don't see that too much in college, especially in the kind of top quarterback prospects of every kind of draft class. You don't really see any quarterback doing double-digit interceptions, which is definitely a red flag. But he never did it here. Got kind of, started off big in college and then kind of slowly went down every single season, just in place-wise. But, yeah, won the national championship. Did he win the Heisman? No, he never won the Heisman, unfortunately. Not even in 2018 did he win the Heisman? But, I mean, he went undefeated 2018. Fantastic. Never lost a game. 2019. Never lost until the last game of the season against LSU for the national championship. That's when he lost against Joe Burrow. And then in 2020, Just lost to Ohio State, and Justin Fields kind of got blown out by Justin Fields a little bit. But we're going to rank Trevor Lawrence here number 1 over everybody else in this quarterback draft class, just because he's kind of been at the pinnacle of the best quarterback kind of throughout the league, throughout the last 3 years in college. So Trevor Lawrence is number 1. Alrighty, number 2, and I don't know why this isn't kind of a unanimous decision here, but I got to go Justin Fields at number 2, folks. Once again, kind of like Trevor Lawrence, the man is a winner. He only loses games when it's the playoffs, the college playoffs or the college championship games. He doesn't lose in the regular season, and this is great for Justin Fields because he plays at Ohio State in a good kind of collegiate conference. So I mean, we get to Zack Wilson playing in BYU, we get freaking Trey Lance playing at South Dakota State in the FCS, we get Mack Jones playing at Alabama, but he had an absolutely stacked roster. So I got to give it up for Justin Fields at number 2, 67% completion percentage, 70% completion percentage just this year, so absolutely magnificent. The completion percentage is there. 3,200 yards in 2019, only playing 8 games this season, so the yards only at 2,100, but the touchdown to interception ratios are fantastic. 2019, 41 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, magnificent. And then just this season, once again, the games coming down from 14 to 8 from 2019 to 2020, so yes, all the stats are falling, but 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I mean, we're talking 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, very close to kind of 4-to-1. His rushing, kind of a good dual threat as well. 400 yards 2019, basically 500, 484. And then 2020, 300 yards, rushing for 5 more touchdowns this season, 10 touchdowns last season, so still a good dual threat in this league. And once again, the big thing about this man is that he's a winner. He's a winner. 2019, did not lose a regular season game, just lost against Clemson in the first round of the college football playoffs, so we can kind of excuse the loss there. I mean, you're getting into the big game. I like to see you win bowl games. That's something that we do kind of weigh heavy, but he did it this year, so he still won it. And he still won their bowl games in the Big Ten championship games as well. And then just this season in 2020, once again, did not lose until the national championship game against Alabama. So we got to give him the respect. He is a winner in this league. He was winning. And I love the completion percentages. The yards are good. The dual threat ability is good. So I'm going to put Justin Fields at number 2 here. And the real reason that I like him over our number 3 pick is that he won in a good conference consistently. So I got to give him a lot of credit for that. So we're officially putting Justin Fields as the second best quarterback in this draft class. All right, then we'll go to number 3, and that's where we're going to put Zack Wilson. All righty, now, quarterback from BYU, just solid. He was a solid player, and then he kind of boomed. He boomed in his kind of pro day, which we don't really, nothing's great on your pro day. You're throwing against no defense, in shorts, no pads, no nothing, and it's just one-on-one quarterback receiver. So yes, quarterbacks are going to look great out there, obviously. Zack Wilson had like a 60-yard bomb pass that he kind of threw, contorting his body out of a break of a run. So yes, that was good, and it's impressive, but once again, it's, at a pro day. So Zack Wilson, once again, he's 6'3", nothing great over kind of Justin Fields, not the dual threat ability that kind of Justin Fields has. The most he's ever rushed in a season was last year with 254 yards. He did rush for 10 touchdowns. The one thing that we do like about Zack Wilson that we saw on the tape is that he was great in the red zone. We loved his accuracy in the red zone, high and away every single time. He also had 73% completion percentage this season. That's another huge green flag for this man. But when we're talking about wins and, competition, he's at BYU, folks. BYU. That's are they independent? What conference are they in? Yeah, they are independent. So no great teams that they're going up against consistently. They did get to some bowl games. So let's see what he did in these. Western Michigan, he won the bowl game. He went 100%, 18 of 18. That was fantastic. 2019 in the bowl game, they ended up losing. He had 60% completion percentage, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That was 2019. And then 2020, this bowl game against Central Florida, is back to winning, 3 touchdowns, 74% completion percentage, or 76% completion percentage. But once again, we saw Justin Fields do good in his bowl games and then got to the playoffs and still did good in those playoff games as well. So we get, Zack Wilson, you were good in those bowl games, but being in the BYU, being in the independent conference, you're never going to get to a college football playoffs. Justin Fields got there twice, made a good impression in all those games, got the revenge, lost against Clemson in 2019, beat Clemson, murdered Clemson in 2020, and just unfortunately lost to an overall stacked roster of Alabama in the title game. So you can't kind of fault them too much there. All right, back to Zack Wilson here. The interceptions, pretty good to touchdown to interception ratio. He wasn't throwing a lot of touchdowns his first two seasons. 2018, playing 9 games, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. 2019, not good at all. 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That's absolutely not great at all in 9 games. And then 2020, 33 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So that was fantastic. 11-1 touchdown to interception ratio in 2020. But we see some red flags in his game. Not playing against the best competition. Not winning every single game. Losing games in the regular season. In 2018, he lost 1, 2, 3, 4 games in the regular season. That's not good in the independent conference. I know his team's not that great overall because, once again, he's still in the independent conference, but you still got to elevate your team a little bit more, man. Then 2019, losing 1, 2, 3, 4 games in the regular season and lost his bowl game that season. And then in 2020, he only lost 1 game his regular season, so that was good. Only 1 year of good success, though. Justin Fields, we kind of have 2 good, solid years of success. Zack Wilson, only 1. Trevor Lawrence, kind of 3. So, gonna give it up for Zack Wilson here at number 3 of the best kind of quarterbacks in this draft class. Is that it? Did I say everything I wanted to? He did get better every single season, kind of. Yards-wise, 1,500 year 1, 2,300 year 2, 3,600 year 3. Completion percentage dipped in year 2. Touchdown to interception ratio dipped year 2, but the yards were there. That's the only thing that kind of rose in year 2. And we also kind of see his speed as kind of Baker Mayfield-ish, where we put Justin Fields' speed as kind of Kyler Murray-ish, and that's still drastic difference between Justin Fields and Zack Wilson's speed. So we're going to put Zack Wilson at number 3. All right, then at number 4, we're going to go Mack Jones here. All righty, Mack Jones, only 1 good year playing. That's all he had, folks. 1 good year playing quarterback. That was it, and it was a good year. Don't get us wrong. We're not trying to knock Mack Jones, but when we kind of break down the totality of his game, folks, there are red flags that need to be talked about. So here we go. Mack Jones, only 1 year starting-wise in 2020. Played 13 games, started all 13 games because Tua was not there anymore. And he went 77% completion percentage. Folks, that's absolutely manic in college. 77% fan-freaking-tastic. 4,500 yards passing. Once again, fan-freaking-tastic. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Once again, fan-freaking-tastic, folks. All these numbers just crush every other quarterback in this year's draft class. Trevor Lawrence has never threw for 4,500 yards, 77% completion percentage. Justin Fields never did that. Zack Wilson definitely never did that, and Trey Lance never did that either. So you got to give credit to Mack Jones for these stats, absolutely. But when we look at his roster and who he had in his team, and what program he played for, and still playing in the FCS in 2020 in the COVID year when every team was really not that great anymore. The FCC isn't the greatest conference. It's still a great conference, but when we're looking, interconference here in the SEC West, you get Texas A&M, Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, Arkansas, who are all historically good names, but look at these records. Auburn 6-5 this year, LSU 5-5 this year, Ole Miss 5-5 this year, Arkansas 3-7 this year, Mississippi State 4-7 this year. Yeah, Texas A&M was good this year, 9-1, and I'm assuming they did beat Texas A&M. No, let's see what he did against Texas A&M real quick. Just because it was all interconference stuff here. They beat Texas A&M that's his completion percentage. They beat him 52-24, holy moly. But yeah, he had a 74% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, still 1 interception, so that's still good, but it's just overall the level of competitiveness came down a little bit this year because of the COVID season. He had an absolutely stacked roster. Devonte Smith was the Heisman winner. Jalen Waddle is going to be top 5 wide receivers taken in this year's draft. Naji Harris is going to be top 2 running backs taken in this draft, and then his defense got it done as well, so I mean, just an absolutely stacked team. Now, he delivered. He did exactly what he needed to do. So we're not trying to knock him for so much that he needed, or for doing what he needed to do and doing what he was supposed to do out there. But at the end of the day, when we're looking at all these other quarterbacks that didn't have all those talented wide receivers that proved more than one season, that's kind of my one knock on Zack Wilson. We only saw it for one season. That's why we're knocking Mack Jones a little bit. We only saw it for one season. It was freaking a great season. Stacked roster, stacked everything, playing for Alabama under Nick Saban, all of that. So don't know if he's going to be able to make it in this league. Don't know if he's going to be able to kind of elevate not great talent around him wide receiver wise. I mean, what happens if he's got no wide receivers wherever he goes? I mean, what if he had to go play for the Patriots last season with the weapons that Cam Newton had? Would he have been better than what Cam Newton did? I don't know, man. I'm not 100% sold on that. So we're going to put Mack Jones at number 4 here. Yes, it was a great season, but when you take everything into consideration of last season, I mean, the chips were in this man's favor 1,000%. And then number 5 has got to be Trey Lance, man. I'm not really, no. Once again, man, Trey Lance, one good season, one solid season. This is in the FCS. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields playing against great competition years. Trevor Lawrence 3 seasons, Justin Fields 2 straight seasons, and winning games those seasons against kind of the, elite programs in college. And Trey Lance is in the FCS. Playing good in 2019. And in 2019, this was his stats. I mean, 66% completion percentage, 2,700 yards, 28 touchdowns, no picks. That's fantastic. No picks. But once again, what are these defenses you're facing? The FCS in 2019, nothing good. And then in 2020, the COVID season, they didn't even play. They had one game before the entire season got shut down. And that's when he threw his first interception. That's when he threw 50% completion percentage. So once again, yes, you were great year 1, but then we didn't see you year 2 because the season got canceled. In the small glimpse that we saw, only one game before the season got canceled in 2020 for Trey Lance, that's when his first interception came out. So we can't say that he's great anymore. That's when the 50% completion percentage game came out. So it's like, what are we talking about here? Yes, he was good in the FCS for one season. Is that supposed to make me confident that this man's going to work out? I'm going to take the Mack Jones over Trey Lance just because he's proven he can get it done 1 year in the FBS. Better competition, better numbers, better everything. So we got to put Trey Lance at number 5 here for the quarterback. So our official ranking of quarterbacks of this year's draft class, we predict Trevor Lawrence will be the best. We predict Justin Fields will be number 2. Zack Wilson will be number 3. Mack Jones number 4. And Trey Lance will be the 5th best quarterback in this year's draft class. Alrighty, now let's do running backs now. We got our format a little messed up here on the doc. So let's just straighten this out very quickly before we move on. Just very quickly. Alrighty, here we go. So running backs now. Let's draft these. Let's number these. We only got the top 4 running backs here. I think we've only looked at the top 4 running backs. And these are these top 4 running backs that we're talking about. Naji Harris, Michael Carter, Javonte Williams, and Travis Etienne. Those are the 3 running backs that we are talking about. So let's rank them now. And this is tough, man. 1 and 2 is truly tough here. But I'm going to give number 1 to Naji Harris, folks. I love this man. Absolutely fantastic. Big old runner at 6'2", not quite 6'3". And you know who we love at 6'2"? You know who we love 6'2" in this league? Derrick mother-loving Henry at 6'3", who played at Alabama. Naji Harris, a little bit of Derrick Henry, not as big as Derrick Henry. We see Naji Harris 6'2", still a big running back out here. And when we looked at it, what he did, 4 straight seasons at Alabama, getting better every single season, which is exactly what we're looking for, culminating into his 2020 season where he rushed for 1,400 yards, 26 touchdowns, 5.8 yards a carry, just getting it done. We loved everything we saw about Naji Harris. He's a great catcher out of the backfield, caught for 425 yards, 4 touchdowns catching the ball as well, doing it in the big game, the national championship game, the play that really sold us, where, the ball was thrown a little bit behind him and he reaches back and then he's still able to kind of get it done for the last 15 yards for the touchdown. So Gotta go with Naji Harris as the best running back here, and it is tight, folks, with him in number 2, which is Travis Etienne. They're leaps and bounds ahead of Devonte Williams and Michael Carter, folks. It's truly there. It goes Naji Harris and Travis Etienne. You can rank them however you want. It's that close, folks. I would not be upset if you have Travis Etienne number 1. But besides those two, I mean, there's a huge gap. There's a huge gap between 3 and number 4, honestly. But we're gonna put Naji Harris at number 1 here because he kind of gives us a little bit of Derrick Henry vibes. Obviously not as big as him. Derrick Henry is 6'3", Naji Harris is 6'2". Derrick Henry's like 250, Naji Harris is like 230. So still decently similar, but a little bit of a knockoff version if you want, off-brand version. But the one thing that kind of really solidifies that Naji Harris could do what kind of Derrick Henry is doing in this league, just getting better every single season, culminating to 26 touchdowns in 2020. That's exactly what Derrick Henry did his collegiate career, getting better every single season. Now, in his kind of final season, Derrick Henry, he rushed for 2,200 yards, which is fantastic, but 28 touchdowns, 5.6 yards a carry. Naji Harris had 26 touchdowns, 5.8 yards a carry, so very similar stats wise to Derrick Henry, just besides the running the ball wise, the kind of total yard stat wise. But what we get with Naji Harris is a little bit of a better kind of receiving game where Derrick Henry never really caught the ball. I mean, his best receiving year in Alabama for Derrick Henry was 2014 with 133 yards receiving, where we see Naji Harris just put up 425 yards last season and 304 yards 2019. So once again, just getting better in every facet of the game every single season. So I got to give it to Naji Harris for the best running back in this year's draft class. And then that kind of leaves number 2 for Travis Etienne. Very, very, folks, I'm talking hair close. I'm talking about, it's so hard to choose who's actually better between Naji Harris and Travis Etienne, because Naji Harris, we get good speed, but we get kind of, that kind of, shoulder ability where you can kind of truck some players, where Travis Etienne is just taking the top off the freaking defense, folks. This man's speed is absolutely unbelievable. A pure speed running back. So you either want the speed or you want the size with the little less speed than Travis Etienne, and that's kind of where we're making kind of our differences. We kind of see Naji Harris a little bit more versatile, just a tad, folks. So we're going to go with Travis Etienne here at the second running back position. Once again, he had absolutely great games. I mean, he had back-to-back 1,600-yard rushing seasons. We see Naji Harris not even have a 1,600. His best was 1,400, Once again, Travis Etienne, he does catch the ball out of the backfield as well. 432 yards receiving last season, or 2 seasons ago in 2019, and then 2020, 588 yards receiving as well. So we've seen him, catch the ball out of the backfield as well. He's just a pure speed runner. He's only 5'10", not a 6-foot running back in this league. So kind of classic running back size for Travis Etienne. His speed is immaculate. The one thing, he kind of went down every single season. You can kind of, put that up for the COVID season. I've got no problem with that. Only played 12 games in 2020, only rushed for 914 yards, where in 2018, 2019, he played 15 games because it was a full season and he rushed for 1,600 yards. So, that's another small reason why we put Travis Etienne at number 2, just because we see players getting better every single season, folks. That tells us a lot. That tells us you haven't reached your ceiling yet and that you're still going to improve in the league, in the NFL. So, got to give it up to Travis Etienne. And man, oh man, I know the Dolphins are potentially looking at a running back in this year's draft. I don't think we'll take it at 6, but have the potential to take it at number 18 in the first round. And honestly, I would be happy. I think I would be the same amount of happy if we chose either one of these running backs. It's just truly hard to decide which one's truly better right now. Only time will tell who's good 10 years down the line. But we're going to put Naji Harris 1, Travis Etienne 2. And then that leaves the kind of couple running back from UNC. But we're going to put Javonte Williams at number 3. And Michael Carter at number 4. And, very similar running backs here. Both have, about 1,000 yards. They basically, running back by committee over there in USC. But the one thing that we liked more from Javonte Williams over Michael Carter is that he kind of was able to break tackles a little bit more than Michael Carter was. They're both great runners, don't get us wrong. Like I said, I mean, Michael Carter, 1,200 rushing yards last season, 9 touchdowns. Javonte Williams, 1,100 rushing yards, 19 touchdowns. He's able to break the tackles, able to kind of get those extra yards. They're both absolutely fantastic. Great runners. Michael Carter was averaging 8 yards a run. Javonte Williams, 7.3 yards a run. But I'm going to go with a little bit more of an explosive runner in Javonte Williams, a little bit of a better ball catcher. He had 300 yards this season catching-wise, 3 touchdowns along with that. Where Javonte Carter, 267 yards, 2 touchdowns. So once again, they're very, very close runners. They were running back by committee all season, but I just kind of liked Javonte Williams' explosiveness a little bit better, his ability to break tackles a little bit better over Michael Carter. But once again, the main point to take away from in this running back draft class is the gap between Naji Harris, Travis Etienne over Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. Folks, the gap is absolutely enormous. Travis Etienne has the kind of take the top off the defense, game-breaking speed. If there's nobody in front of this man, you're not going to be able to catch up to him. Can't really say the same about Michael Carter and Javonte Williams and Naji Harris. Naji Harris has kind of the big beef ability. He's 6'2", big frame. Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, both 5'10", 5'8", 5'10". So we're going to order it a little bit. Javonte Williams, a little bit of a bigger size, able to break those tackles a little bit more than Michael Carter. So we got Naji Harris as the best running back in this year's draft class, Travis Etienne number 2, Javonte Williams number 3, and Michael Carter number 4. And then that leads us to our wide receivers in this year's draft class, which are we got Devonte Smith, Jamar Chase, Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, and Jalen Waddle. Alrighty, and kind of the same thing here. We got kind of the top 3, and then there's a huge gap for the next 2 to make up the top 5. But the number 1 wide receiver, and I really think there's no debate about this, it's Devonte Smith, folks. Come on. Once again, getting better every single season, playing all 4 years at Alabama, getting better every single season. Started at 160 yards, then goes to 693 yards, then goes to 1,200 yards, then goes to 1,800 yards, receiving 23 touchdowns, Heisman winner. We broke this down the other day. He was the best wide receiver in every single bowl game, every single college playoff game that he played in, getting it done. The main reason why they won, getting touchdowns in all these games, all these kind of big games that he's in. So got to give it up for Devonte Smith, the number 1 wide receiver here. He's proven over 4 years he's getting better. He's always great. Heisman winner, 1,800 yards. And then let's talk about number 2 now, because that's what we're kind of comparing him to. Is Jamar Chase at number 2? Absolutely. He's fantastic. Don't get us wrong, but it was 1 season. Didn't play this year in 2020. So a little bit of a red flag that needs to be talked about. Yeah, we saw him have an absolutely great 2019. 1,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, looking absolutely fantastic, 21 yards a catch. Don't get us wrong, but is it a fluke season? Does he kind of take a little bit of a step back here? He didn't play in 2020, so we can't see that. Where Devonte Smith, we've got proven talent, 4 straight years, getting better every single year, never floundering, never taking a big step back, being the main reason why they won all those games. We looked at Jamar Chase in 2019. And they won the national championship game, and he absolutely had a big hand in winning that national championship game. 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, fantastic. But then when we look at, what they did in their first round of the playoffs against Oklahoma, not a huge reason why they won that game. He wasn't even the best receiver on his team in that game. The conference championship game against Georgia, only 1 touchdown, 41 yards. Once again, wasn't the best wide receiver on his own team in that game. So have to take a little bit of a kind of full picture look at this man. Yes, it was an incredible season in 2019, but I get more consistent, more proven wins and yards and talent by Devonte Smith, capping off in a Heisman winner season. So got to put Devonte Smith at number 1. And I'm telling you, if the Dolphins do not take him at number 6, folks. I'm not a Dolphins fan anymore, folks. That is the only pick at number 6, and I'm over the conversation. I'm over the debate on it. We're 3 days out from the draft. This is all you can do. Devonte Smith at number 6, folks. Proven wide receiver talent. Go and get it. All right, number 3, we're going to put Jalen Waddle. Oh, my goodness, fantastic speed on this man. Yes, sir. He can take the top off the defense, no problem. He goes up and plays the ball as good as Tyreek Hill does. Our camera just died, unfortunately, so whatever we're frozen at now. But Jalen Waddle plays as well as Tyreek Hill does, at least going up for the ball at a kind of a smaller frame. What is Jalen Waddle, 5'10"? 5'10". I think Tyreek Hill's 5'10", 5'9", but Jalen Waddle, kind of same speed, a little bit, maybe a little slower than Tyreek Hill does, because Tyreek Hill's speed is just wild to even begin with. But Jalen Waddle at number 3 here from Alabama, a great college career. He just goes in the way he just goes up and gets the ball at only 5'10". It's fantastic, folks. He goes up and plays like he's DeAndre Hopkins at 6'1", folks. It's truly great. So he goes up, he will go high point the ball if he has to kind of make a contested catch one-on-one, or I mean all the other catches are wide open because he can create space because he's that quick and can cut that fast. So Jalen Waddle at number 3. Then the last 2 here, we're going to put Rashad Bateman here at number 4. Let's get him marked up. He's 6'2", great size. I mean, I definitely want to kind of build my team around tall wide receivers so I can throw those 50-50 balls a lot more. But yeah, I mean, he's got great speed. Rashad Bateman, not as good of a career as these kind of other great wide receivers of Devonte Smith and Jamar Chase. But yeah, loved what I saw from Rashad Bateman. 6'2", solid wide receiver out here. Doesn't have the great catchability that kind of Devonte Smith and Jalen Waddle and Jamar Chase does. Doesn't have the true like open ability that kind of Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle do. Devonte Smith can beat you out the line of scrimmage. Just Rashad Bateman, solid speed, great speed at 6'2", good solid wide receiver out there. And once again, kind of like we said, I mean, the big drop-off in quarterbacks is Trevor Lawrence and everybody else. The big drop-off in running backs is Naji Harris, Travis Etienne, and everybody else. And these kind of top wide receivers are Devonte Smith, Jamar Chase, and really everybody else. I don't think I would even put kind of Jalen Waddle in that kind of top elite category. And then the 5th best wide receiver, we're going to put Elijah Moore. Once again, another good wide receiver out here in this draft. Solid catchability, but he's only 5'9", really kind of small as a wide receiver, honestly. That's why we have Rashad Bateman above him, just because he's 6'2". He doesn't have game-breaking speed like Jalen Waddle does, maybe like Jamar Chase does. I'd put kind of game-breaking speed on Jamar Chase a little bit. And he doesn't really break tackles that much like we see Devonte Smith and Jalen Waddle able to do a little bit more. So we put Elijah Moore at number 5. Once again, I mean, at this point, besides these kind of top 2 wide receivers, it's really just kind of which one fits your scheme better. Do you want the fast, shifty wide receiver in Jalen Waddle? Do you want the tall wide receiver in Rashad Bateman? Or do you want just kind of a solid wide receiver of Elijah Moore? Just not the kind of same speed as Jalen Waddle, but so that's what we have in our NFL draft prospects offensively ranked here. For quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence 1, Justin Fields 2, Zack Wilson 3, Mack Jones 4, Trey Lance 5. Running backs, we got Naji Harris 1, Travis Etienne 2, Javonte Williams 3, Michael Carter 4. And for wide receivers, Devonte Smith 1, Jamar Chase 2, Jalen Waddle 3, Rashad Bateman 4, and Elijah Moore 5. Tomorrow on the show, we will do our defensive players, safeties, corners, linebackers, and see how they're all kind of stacking up. And then Wednesday, we do our live draft, our live mock draft.